Once upon a time, there was a little village named Gadili, tucked away in a lush valley surrounded by hills and rivers. It was a quiet, peaceful place where everyone knew each other, but Gadili held a mysterious secret that villagers avoided talking about. Rumors swirled around a deserted bungalow on the village's outskirts, a place no one dared visit. In this village lived an elderly woman named Visali. She was kind and wise, having lived in Gadili her entire life, and people often came to her for advice. She knew the village's secrets well, especially the haunting stories of the old bungalow just outside the village. Visali often sat by her window, gazing out toward the bungalow, as if watching over it. One day, a family from the city arrived in Gadili. They were drawn to the beauty of the old bungalow, with its grand pillars and sprawling gardens, and bought it without knowing the stories hidden within its walls. Visali watched from her doorway as the family moved in, her face calm and silent. For the first few days, the family enjoyed their new home, but soon, they noticed something strange. Their two young children began acting differently whenever they played in the garden. They'd talk in hushed voices, sometimes laughing as if they were playing with an invisible friend. The parents began to worry. Unable to explain the strange behavior, the parents contacted a local ghost hunter. He was a serious man, carrying a small device that could detect spirits. He entered the bungalow and began his inspection, carefully checking every room for signs of anything unusual. After exploring the house, he discovered a locked room at the end of a long corridor. The lock was old and rusted, as though it hadn't been touched for decades. The ghost hunter felt a chill as he broke the lock and pushed the door open. The room inside was dark and musty, with a strange, fishy smell lingering in the air. As he entered the room, his device started to blink. The light flickered faster and faster, casting odd shadows around the room. Suddenly, it began blinking wildly. Terrified, he stumbled backward, then leapt through the window and ran out of the bungalow without looking back. The family, now fully aware that something was wrong, grew frightened. They had tried to ignore the odd happenings, but after the ghost hunter's hurried escape, they knew they couldn't stay. Just then, Visali appeared at their door, with a knowing smile on her face. The family begged Visali to tell them what she knew. With a sigh, she invited them to sit and began telling the story of her childhood friend, Kanchana, who once lived in the bungalow many years ago. Visali explained that when she was a little girl, she had few friends, and many children in the village avoided the bungalow. But Kanchana, a kind girl from a new family, had become her best friend. They played together, laughed, and even went to school together. But one day, something tragic happened. One night, Visali heard loud voices coming from the bungalow. Kanchana's parents were fighting, and in a moment of fury, her father did something unthinkable. Visali watched from the shadows, too shocked to move. Kanchana's father, in a moment of rage, hurt her mother right in front of her, and when Kanchana tried to intervene, he turned on her as well. Visali watched the entire tragedy, unable to look away. From that day, Kanchana and her mother's spirits never left the bungalow. Back in the present, Visali looked at the family and warned them that Kanchana's spirits still lingered, forever tied to the bungalow. She advised them to leave, as this was still Kanchana's home. Taking Visali's advice to heart, the family quickly packed up their things and left. They glanced back one last time and, for a moment, saw the ghostly figure of young Kanchana in the garden, watching over her childhood home.